Hello there. The final episode of Season 2. What can I say? This episode, honestly, I can't say is my favorite. My favorite still is with Boba Fett and him being just a boss throughout the entire episode. However, this one was very well paced, very epically tying in together characters previously brought. And I guess I'll say it just because it was in the previously on. They're bringing back the female Mandalorians, and yeah, I think that's the only thing I can say without it being a spoiler, because that's very prominent. Of course, Cara Dune's still a part of the team. Boba Fett's part of the team. And what they were going for was primarily a female team group up fighting sequence. I would have been okay with that, and honestly, I felt it was done really well. But I'll get to that point later on. This episode starts off with them hunting down the scientist, using him to basically access Gideon's ship. And you really do love all the Easter eggs. Basically, there's this piece of dialogue where this guy's constantly egging Cara Dune just because he keeps talking about Alderaan, how he was there, present when it was blown to millions of pieces, present on the Death Star, viewing the whole thing. And of course, she cracks a joke about which one, since they were both destroyed. So you instantly know that it's starting to flash back quite a bit. So you kind of get hints of where it's going. You get a lot of hints as to, okay, this is the story progression. But because they're done the way they are, they're not entirely big reveals because you can see it coming. And then after that, they realize they need help and they decide to get the other Mandalorians to tag along. What I found interesting was, in that episode when they teamed up with the Mandalorians and Mando was basically completely useless because he was just a fourth person along with the party, there were 3 Mandalorians, 2 females, 1 male, and then Mando joined that trio. In this episode, the man seems to have never existed. Even in the previously on, they don't even address the fact that he was there. It's one of those things that they threw out just so they could get this following sequence in. They raid the ship and do a diversion where all the Mandalorians, Cara Dune, all the female characters basically group together and raid the entire ship as Mando goes stealthily to save Grogu, Baby Yoda. And it's like they just threw out that final Mandalorian to basically get that whole female squad together. I don't mind there being an entire group of females as long as it's explained, and this one actually did a pretty good job explaining it. However, the issue I had was that third Mandalorian in that trio was no longer there, was nowhere to be found, no hint as to what happened to him. That's the first thing I thought when they all got together. It makes sense as to why Boba Fett wasn't there. They needed someone to basically, again, be the getaway driver. They needed someone to drive everywhere. So I could understand that. I could rationalize it to myself as to, okay, this is why they're having an entire fighting sequence of just women, but at least let me know what happened to that third trio. Did you kill him just because he didn't fall in line? Was there a leadership dispute, which is a possibility? I mean, they are Mandalorians. They fight to basically show who's dominant, and the winner becomes, well, Mandalore. But there is this one shot, which I found very humorous, and I was wondering as to why they didn't look at it, realize it was a terrible shot, and then just reshoot it. It was all done in a set. All the female batch is all fighting, and then they fall in line. They all line into one formation, and the Mandalorian in back is literally holding the gun point blank at the person standing in front of him. I saw that, and I was like, this clearly is someone without any training whatsoever in combat. And I was wondering, why do they have no one who's combat proficient on set to basically analyze and let them know it's like, this is not how it goes? Or looking at what the end product would be, since it's technically all shot in one go, seeing it's just like, oh, she would not be aiming down range at her own teammate. She would be either aiming the gun behind her, being basically, since she's walking in the back, looking behind her, aiming down that way, or have it pointed up to the sky. It was just little things like that. I did love one of the parts where they're basically flushing out the Mandalorians even more. There are those of us who are fans who found that whole not removing helmet thing to be strange, that now the things that they're introducing are far more Mandalorian. The strong on Mandalore survive. The strong become Mandalore, the leader. The strongest Mandalorian is the leader of the Mandalorians. It's how their culture was built. It's how their culture reigned. That's why they loved battle so much. So I am really loving that they're doing this more and more. I really love that they're doing this more and more. They're showing more of Mandalore, at least introducing more of the culture that we know, and not completely throwing away every batch of history that we've come to love. But I love Star Wars. The reason why most of us fans loved Star Wars was the rich history that we could feel come off the screen towards us. The world that was well built, well flushed out. Even though there was nothing actually behind a person in armor, it was our imaginations that put it there. And in fact, it kept growing and growing and growing. And the fact that they're actually able to bring that back to us, to introduce more of the galaxy, I'm loving now. And of course, the big reveal at the very end, you can tell via the ship that's flown. You can tell via the fighting style. You can tell you can just tell off basically the whole pacing of the thing, who is coming to save them, who is coming to help them. And you just get goosebumps. You know what's going to happen. You know who's coming, but at the same time, you're just excited to see it. I gotta say, the animation was off, but on a lower budget than what could be a billion-dollar film, it's passable. I do hope that they improve upon it, especially if they plan on doing more with that kind of animation. I really do hope. Honestly, I'm still excited about it. Most likely, I'll be doing a spoiler season review in my next video with my buddy Big Daddy Mo. Keep your eye out for that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Toodles!